Thank you very much, Senator Wyden. I want to thank you for expediting this hearing on our last day in session before the August break, when there is much on you, particularly in matters related to moving the Highway Trust Fund. So we thank you for this courtesy. To both you and Senator Hatch, it's an honor to be here in the Finance Committee. You know, your committee, the Finance Committee, my committee, the Appropriations Committee, are the only two committees in the Constitution. It is the only two committees that the founders of the United States of America felt important enough to put into the Constitution, because it is the Revenue Committee and the Spending Committee working hand in hand were to provide the checks and the balances to ensure the functioning of a democracy, not an elected monarchy. And I think when we look at this, your job is to be looking at really the significant issues of the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund. What do we do to ensure the future of viability of Medicare and Medicaid? But there's also the administration of these agencies, often overlooked in today's media-driven Congress, where the headlines are not in the nuts and bolts of management. But I know, under the leadership of you two, working with Senator Shelby and I, let's take a look at how Social Security is run. Does it have the right staff, the right technology, and the right way to do that, both at the Social Security Administration and also at CMS? So hands across the aisle, hands across the committee, shoulder to shoulder. But no matter what we do, every agency needs a good leader. And this is why I'm so pleased to join with Senator Cardin today in bringing Carolyn Colvin to you to be nominated for the permanent head of as the Social Security Commissioner. I first met Carolyn Colvin when she came into government under the legendary William Donald Schaefer, and worked hands-on with Carolyn, both under William Donald Schaefer, as both the mayor, she in the health department, I in the city council, he as governor, I had moved to the Senate. William Donald Schaefer was known for many things, one of which was his passion on making sure that government worked. He was a legendary figure with his slogan, "Do it now and do it right." So he recruited people that were intellectually brilliant, had enormous competency in terms of management skills, and a sense of urgency about solving problems of do it now and do it right. But he also did something else. He reached out to people of color to make sure that they were actually coming into government, and for all of their previous service were actually promoted in government. Carolyn Colvin was over there at the health department. Bishop Robinson was our police commissioner. It was a new day, a new profile, a new demographic, and a new buzz in Baltimore. Carolyn was part of that reform movement. That buzz, that do it now and do it right, she has carried with her in the many positions that she's had in government. After William Donald Schaefer moved on, she was the Director of Human Services in the District of Columbia, helped run was the Director of the Montgomery County Health and Human Services Department, a Special Assistant in the Maryland Department of Transportation, and then became the Deputy Commissioner of Social Security, and in February also then was appointed the Acting Commissioner. So you know her resume, and each way it was the nuts and bolts of government. Fix problems, do it now, do it right. She has inherited many significant issues at Social Security. Backlogs, techno-boondoggles, some of the issues that Senator Hatch has enumerated. But I think she's up for the job. And I think, and I'm not the only one, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security has supported her nomination. The AARP has submitted a letter. I ask unanimous consent.
Without objection, so ordered.
To the record. And so I bring this to your attention, and also she's been recognized by many of the women's groups and leadership groups in Maryland, part of a group called Leadership Maryland to actually train people in working together in bipartisan relationships. Also, she's part of the Maryland 100. She and I joined. We're now part of the Maryland 1000 of people who've achieved prominence. But what I so admire about Carolyn is she's ready to do the job. And I'm just going to close with one example. When I became the chair of the Appropriations Committee, one of the perplexing issues was the disability backlog at the Veterans Administration. And as we talked then with General Shinseki, it's because Social Security and IRS were dragging their ability, their response to the information VA needed from both of those agencies. Working with Senators Tim Johnson and Mark Kirk, I convened an all-hands-on-deck hearing with these agencies. Social Security immediately responded under Carolyn's leadership to make sure that the VA gets on a biweekly basis, biweekly, am I correct? Biweekly basis, the information it needs so that the Veterans Administration can deal with its backlog. But she's got her own backlog at the disability benefits, this techno boondoggle plagued by, once again, before she took over, no one in charge, everybody in charge, everybody dithering and moving their microchips around. You know that deal. And we saw it in the health exchange. We see it over here. But I think she's the person to fix it. So, Mr. Chairman and Senator Hatch, I really hope, as you can see, my enthusiasm for her. And if you want, William Donald Schaefer is smiling on you today about do it now and do it right. Confirm Carolyn Colvin.